the numbers for hosting one game, one global game. And a global game means that you have two NBA teams going to a city and they play. So they're playing on a Saturday or Friday, and you have all these different offshoots events that happen around it. And I want you to see the numbers of how the economic impact of that. Like, everyone has spoken about the different things and the opportunities, but I want to show you real numbers of what the NBA is doing and how this can impact Nigeria as well. So you can see from the numbers there, it shows you 20 million economic impact. Media reach, that is 5.8 billion from a media reach. Total earned media value, just for one game, 23 million. Okay? 160 small companies are impacted in Paris just for this game that is hosted on one day. I'm going to just even do a further deep dive into those numbers, so for you to see that. Now let's look at, when you say Paris, you say, all these numbers is not unique to Paris. It's replicatable in every city we host a global game. You can only even imagine for All-Star is the same thing as well. You can see that from that 20.2 million, you have 10.3 million of that is from non-locals. That means people who have flown into Paris specifically for that game. Then you have about 9.9 million that's generated from corporate. About 12,000 people, more than 12,000 people came into Paris for the 2023 game. And from that 12,000, you can see the numbers there that it shows you the breakdown, the spending from food and beverages, from lodging, from retail, the list goes on and on. And that is just from one event. I think this is very important because we talked about the GDP. For most developed countries, sports currently accounts for about 5% of their GDP. I love what someone said earlier, and I think it was Mr. Cole, where he said, that my own oil block are the youth. And this industry is so untapped that if we give it the intentional investment and you bring the right people in there, every industry will benefit from it. People don't think of it that way. I love what Aisha said earlier, that when you talk about the SDG goals, the psychological, the physical, the ability to instill life skills in kids, one of the things we've done here in the MBA is we've been able to modify our junior MBA curriculum for it to focus on life skills that shows that the average Nigerian kid is deficient in. And those 4 skills being leadership skills, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and communication skills. Sports checks so many boxes that it's really shocking when we say that the level of investment that needs to be made, the way we invest, whether it's in oil and gas, we invest in agriculture, that level of attention, policies, tax breaks need to be also focused on in the sports industry. You can see all the different industries that benefited from the Paris game. All these industries exist in Nigeria. It's the same exact thing that will happen, and this is not just unique to just one game. This can happen throughout the year. Infrastructure, Weber mentioned that earlier. You talk about arena development, hospitality, retail, gaming, media, broadcasting. He talked about naming rights. You can go through different arenas around the world and people are paying $800 million just to have their name put in an arena. And why would they do that? Because every time that arena is shown, every game that happens there, any concert that happens, any conference, the name of their business, what it gets them from a media earned value is unbelievable. Event management, merchandising, transportation, and technology. Technology is a big part of this. So what have we done so far? And what we're doing, MBA, in Nigeria is making sure that we're working with different partners in different industries. So you can see that from our youth development, when people think about sports, that's sort of like the first thing that comes to mind from a CSR standpoint. What are we doing to empower the youth as a tool for social development? We're doing that already with the different programs we have with our junior MBA program. From retail, no one would expect that when you're talking about basketball, you have your retail pop-ups where you're working with different retailers to really find a way to give their brand visibility. And for every time people work with the MBA, you always have to think that you get that cross-border appeal, because it's not just here in Nigeria, it's carried across everywhere. Watch parties, we find a way to work with different brands for them to be able to engage their consumers and provide different offerings to them. Music, I've mentioned that. Gaming and art, what we did last year And I think it was the first time we've done this on the African continent, and we tend to continue to do it. During ArtX in November, the NBA had an installation in collaboration with a Nigerian visual artist called Dennis Osadebe. And what's so remarkable about that is it was just an installation we did together, celebrating sports, celebrating basketball, and we had galleries from all over the world reaching out to us saying, can I get this? Can we have this installation showcase for us? You can see that I'm talking about basketball, but how we touch on multiple industries. And this is the power of sports. I always say that sport is not one of the most powerful tools. I fundamentally believe it is the most powerful tool because I don't know anything else that checks as many boxes as sports do. You might say I'm being biased, but I would say go and do the research and look at the numbers. That is the power of sports. And I really hope that as a country, as different businesses that are represented here, we're going to lean more into what sports represent. So what's next for us in Nigeria? What are the other ways in which we want to ensure that we're able to really benefit the local ecosystem here in Nigeria? One of the interesting things that we're trying to do is like, how do we bring all of this together? Everybody knows about street basketball. We would love to launch a street basketball tournament where you are engaging local businesses in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Find a way to bring everyone together for everybody to have fun. And while they're having fun, guess what? You have fashion designers who can showcase and sell their merchandises. You have different musicians that can engage. It touches on so many different things. And this is what the MBA has done in Africa so far, and the next step for us here in Nigeria. So I really hope that I've been able to just show you guys the economic impact of sports, like bringing in real term that we're not just speaking from an abstract standpoint, is showing that this is already being done. And I really hope that next year when we do this, Miss Aisha, I really hope that next year when we do this, I will be able to show you the breakdown of the numbers of BAL, because BAL right now is being played in South Africa, in Senegal, in Egypt, and in Rwanda. And we have research that's ongoing now to show the economic impact of BAL. And I truly hope that in the very near future, we can have BAL games here in Nigeria. Thank you very much.